Cheers. You are now watching Create a Steady Hustle with Likquidcash.
And I want to talk about my new event that's popping up in September. You dig? The Naked Truth About Relationships. Live event experience. You get to see me live and live in color. I advise you to get your tickets ASAP because once they sold out, you can't buy none at the door. So I advise y'all to stop playing with yourself, man, and go purchase that now at createasteadyhustle.com. It's yours truly, Likquidcash. What's poppin', Playboy?
Marsha.
Oh, my bad. It's Marsha. Okay, Marsha, what's going on?
Yeah. So I heard you say, so we're talking about limerence. So the only experience I've actually had with limerence was when I was a teenager. When I kind of used to crush up with Marlon Wayans and Chris Tucker. That's kind of like, I guess, what you would consider limerence as a childhood crush, that type of thing. But my actual thing now is that I often do times pray for discernment, like in my everyday aspects of, throughout my day-to-day life. And so when it comes to relationships and knowing that God does give us free will to choose, when asking for discernment, I guess, what are things that you should be looking for?
When asking for discernment, what are the things that you should be looking for?
Yeah, I guess understanding discernment. Because a lot of people, a lot of times we say, pray for discernment. But also, God gives us free will to choose things. So it's kind of like when you're praying for discernment, I guess my thing is understanding, is this actually discernment, is it coming from God? Is it your own opinions that you're making up? Is it things that you're saying in your own mind?
Okay.
How are you actually understanding discernment?
1 second. God whispers. He speaks to you silently. Follow your first thought. Your first thought is usually the correct thinking. It's the second thought you need to be aware of. You need to be wary about. The second thought is when you start to think and you think yourself down a downward spiral. A lot of times when you have your first mind is the correct mind. It's like when something pops up in your mind and you like, you know what? This is what I want to do. And then you talk yourself out of it with your second thought. It's kind of like when somebody hits you up and say, man, hey, this event over here is popping, or this club is popping. Let's go check it out. Your first thought might tell you, nah, I ain't really rocking with that. But then the second thought might say, you know what? Shit, let me pull the car out. I ain't drive this in a minute. Let me stun on these niggas real quick. You dig? That's the second thought. And then when you get to that event, something happens, a shootout, something negative go down, and you damn God, if you get me out of this situation, I'll never do that, or whatever. And you got to follow your first thought, your first mind. You dig? So when you use discernment, or when you ask God for discernment, he's going to show you what you need to see. You just got to be aware of it and understand if it moves towards what you're trying to do, or if it moves towards positive frequency, then that's the right thought process. So that's the right thing that you need to be geared towards. If it's positive and it's helping and it's not hurting, then that's the information that you be receptive to. That's the thing that you looking for. It's like, one time ago, years ago, I had a question that I needed answered, right? And I was tapping in on a different frequency, and I fasted for 3 days. And when I fasted for those 3 days, I went to a particular spot that I normally don't go to, and I ran into an older guy, and he was chopping game with me, and we was talking for about 30 minutes. And while he was talking, he answered all of my questions that I had. And he didn't know that I had these questions. He didn't know I had these questions in my mind. It was just a question that I had in my mind that I asked God to give me the answer to. But he sent somebody in the form of that man at that particular time to answer the questions that I didn't even have to ask him. So that's how you got to use discernment, understanding that, he's going to speak to you. God will speak to you through people and circumstances and situations. So I was just aware of it because I was in awareness when we were speaking. So when he said certain things, I was like, boom, that's the answer to my question. So you gotta be just be in awareness. You know what I mean? You gotta be a walking meditation, constantly in awareness, understanding that God is speaking through circumstances, situation, people, and events. Long as you paying attention, you're gonna be good. But you just gotta, you know what I mean, be totally in awareness. And also pray for understanding. That's the root to every question. It's like once you got some understanding, then you'll gain some type of wisdom. So instead of just you can pray for discernment. That's great. Also pray for understanding and wisdom, and all that comes with time. Sometimes you know how it goes. Your parents tell you one thing, you don't hear, you don't really listen, you really don't understand what they're really talking about. 5 years later go by, you get it. You're like, oh, that's what they meant. You know what I mean? Oh, that's what he was. You dig? So that's how it goes. Sometimes wisdom comes with time. So when I read a book, before I read, I pray for understanding and discernment, because I want to use discernment when I'm reading the book, because everything that you read in the book is not always 100% accurate. So you have to use your own discernment to decipher what is real or what is for you, what is not for you. You dig? And then when you finish reading, then you go over the book in your mind and you gain some level of understanding what the author was trying to convey. You dig?
Okay, and I guess my question on that part is because a lot of times in my past, like I've had where you get with people, but they don't actually show you those red flags in the beginning, and so they act like, well, I guess it seems like everything's going smooth, they're all about you, but then once the relationship gets going, I've had where a lot of times people try to dim my light, and so I guess my thing is like, what are those red flags to look for when people may not actually be on your team? Like they get jealous of you, like they like what you're doing in the beginning, but then once you guys have been together, especially I guess with women, they fear you outshining them in a sense, if that makes sense.
So yeah, like how it goes, man. When it comes to women, man, it's a lot of catty shit that goes on, right? But that's because of negative thinking. At the end of the day, their mindset is in the wrong place, you dig? A lot of times, a lot of these things stems from negative thinking, you dig? So once you focus on positive thinking, you ain't got time for that type of energy. Negative, in Jamaica, they call it bad-minded people, right? You're too bad-mind. You don't know. So that's the energy they come from because they think negative. So instead of looking at a female and giving her props and saying, man, her nails look good, or hair look good, or she looks great, they rather say, I don't like the color of her nails, or I don't like that jacket she's wearing, or they rather whisper amongst their friends and talk down on the female. So it's negative energy, or they have something to say about their boyfriend or whatever have you. So it's a lot of jealousy going on when it comes to that. And that's because, like I said again, half of these people don't have the right state of mind. They're not in the right state of mind. You know what I mean? They're not in the right state of mind. They're the walking dead. You feel me? Because instead of breeding life, they rather breed darkness. So you have to always keep that in mind. You dig? That when you're around certain people ain't operating on your frequency. You know what I mean? Avoid them at all costs. We're going to still, see, we in the world, but we don't have to be of the world. And we're going to be around these people, and you can be dealing with these people on a consistent basis, right? But you have to be illuminating. Yeah, you got to be illuminated so bright that you change their frequency when you step in the room. Your energy is moving at a high frequency. You change their frequency. So it's like they don't affect you. It's like a repellent. You know what I mean? So I'm around negative people all the time. I'm around people who not on the right frequency all the time. But their frequency don't affect mine because I'm oscillating or vibrating at a whole different echelon. I bring them up with me when I come in there. You know what I mean? Come in their atmosphere. They raise their vibration when I'm around. But of course, niggas gonna hate and people gonna say certain things, but it don't even affect me because I'm moving with light. I ain't got time for darkness. Of course they supposed to hate. Of course the niggas supposed to feel some type of way. Of course, if you doing certain things that's different from the most, the majority, girls is gonna feel some type of way and they gonna hate on you. They gonna tell you about this and say it, talk behind your back. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? I lost the call, but it's all good. Yeah, man, you can't worry about nobody hating on you, faking with you, and just doing what they do. Let them do what they does, man. If you would like to watch this full episode without having to wait, subscribe to my YouTube membership where you can watch the full episode before it's released. And if you want to watch more content, join my Patreon family for more exclusive, never before seen episodes. All the information will be in the description below. Cheers.